health insurance in Germany, pretty complex, a number of different options.
17 billion euros will be missing to fund public health insurance next year.
And that, of course, is putting a lot of stress on the public health insurance sector.
I can really see that you're team public health insurance, while I'm more team private health insurance.
Disability insurance, I think, is one of the critical insurances that maybe a lot of people don't have.
Julian, thank you for joining the interview today. You are the head of insurance of Feder Insurance, so you have insights into the German insurance market like hardly anybody else of us. The insurance that most expats are interested in by a very large margin, in fact, is actually health insurance. So can you give us an overview, please, of the German health insurance system?
Absolutely. Happy to be here and happy to share some insights. First and foremost, health insurance in Germany, pretty complex, a number of different options that are available. For sure, the state-funded public health insurance is the most popular and probably also the best option for most people. About 80% of all people in Germany have public health insurance. But then on the other side, there's also a very strong offering from private health insurance companies. In Germany, the system is set up so that these private health insurance companies are meant to compete with public health insurance providers. It can't be easily set which option is the best for what person, just because it depends on a lot of individual factors. But I think we can get into that a little bit more later. If you're not really sure if it's public or private health insurance, maybe if you've just arrived to Germany or if you're applying for a visa, then there is a third option, which we call expat health insurance. That is generally the least expensive option and something that a lot of people use in the very beginning.
Mm-hmm. And so you're absolutely right. This can be very confusing. We talked about before that you have a recommendation tool on your website. So if people are not sure which health insurance suits them best, they can just do it on your website with a couple of clicks and then get a recommendation.
Exactly. So what we try to do is basically to make insurance simple. We know that insurance isn't the thing that you wake up to excited in the morning and really want to deal with. So for that reason, we started out offering free customer calls to everybody, independent of their situation. And we did thousands of these customer calls, and people really liked it. But at the same time, it's also something that doesn't scale really well. So we really wanted to reach even more people. And this is why over the last two and a half years, we've spent a lot of time building something that we refer to as the recommendation tool. And this tool basically allows you to input some information and then get an overview as to which options you can sign up for health insurance, also for other insurances. And I think the really great part is that it really accounts for, say, 98% of all situations. So not just the typical, I'm employed in Germany, I need health insurance, but also other cases where maybe the answer isn't so easy. And it will give you a good overview of what options there are, and allow you to kind of understand the system quickly, hopefully. And it's been very well received. So hundreds of people use it every day. And we're really happy that people seem to like it. But of course, we're also continuously working on making it even better as well.
I tried it myself. It's in English. It's very understandable. It asks all the right questions and you get some great recommendations after. So we'll link it in the description and people can try it out themselves as well.
Sounds good. And we've just released a new version of it. So excited to see people try that.
Okay. So if you try it, let us know in the comments if you like it or if you have some suggestions how Feder can make it better. Public health insurance made some news last week when the Association of Public Health Insurance published a press release saying that 17 billion euros will be missing to fund public health insurance next year. The majority of this 17 billion is supposed to be paid by people insured in the public health insurance. We don't know anything specific yet, but everyone insured in the public system will probably pay a lot more next year than they do this year. All while private health insurance is getting 25,000 euros richer every minute because of the seniority savings. Julian, what do you think about the future of German health insurance, especially after the pandemic?
Yeah, great question. I think it comes down to kind of looking at the bigger picture. Population in Germany is aging. I think the median age is over 45 right now, and we're coming into a situation where we have a relatively high amount of old people that want to use health benefits from the public health insurance system, while the amount of people that are working and contributing to finance the system is decreasing. And that, of course, is putting a lot of stress on the public health insurance sector. And now there are basically two options. One option is to reduce the benefits for everybody, so make the coverage worse and reduce cost by that measure. And the second one that you mentioned, and I think that is going to be coming up, is putting more money into the system. That money has to come from somewhere. So it is likely that rates on public health insurance will increase. At the same time, especially for those people that are young and for those people that may not want to stay in Germany for their whole entire life, private health insurance is becoming more interesting because it can potentially be less expensive in some situations because the contributions there work differently and are usually not based on your income, but rather based on your age, and that can really give you some added flexibility. But in the end, I think this is a common problem that we're seeing all around Europe. One thing that we're trying to do is to work with public health insurance companies to try and make the system as efficient as possible, and make sure that that maybe costs can also be reduced to making things more digital, which is something that Germany, I think, still has to do some catch up on.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. And I agree. I think private can be a really good option. Unfortunately, though, at least to my understanding, you have many consultations with expats too. We do as well. I feel there's hardly any topic in all over personal finance where there's so many misconceptions and myths as in the private health insurance system. I feel many people in the private health insurance, they absolutely love it, myself included. I'm privately insured as well. And people in the public health insurance, they almost religiously defend public health insurance and say private health insurance is bad. I really want to know, because you're an insurance expert, what do you think about the private health insurance system?
Well, I think private health insurance is structured very, very differently in the different countries around the world. And I think that is part of the reason why there are a lot of misconceptions. So it is very strictly regulated in Germany, much more so than in many other countries around the world. So, for example, health insurance companies can't actually cancel your contract in Germany, depending on how much you use your health insurance, which is common in other countries around the world. Private health insurance companies can also not increase the monthly cost based on your age. There can be increases, but age is usually not a contributing factor. And I think if you dive a little bit deeper and see that a lot of these private health insurance companies are actually structured as not-for-profit mutual health insurance companies, where you don't actually become a customer, but rather become a member, then you'll see that there are some unique benefits from private health insurance. At the same time, it has to be said that in some cases in Germany, the system may not be so fair for everybody. So you may be forced into having public health insurance depending on your income, and you may be able to get private health insurance coverage with better benefits for a lower price only if you have a high income. and that is something that may not be ideal. Basically, it means that some people can't get private health insurance, and that can then, of course, also lead to a kind of a negative public image for private health insurance, and maybe rightfully so. But of course, this is not something that we can change. This is just based on the regulation, and hopefully there's going to be more flexibility for everybody in the future, so that you can decide if it's public or private, independent of your situation.
We just talked about private, that there's a lot of flexibility, and public maybe not so much flexibility. And I feel that's the beauty and also the complexity about the German healthcare system. Beautiful because you can actually choose the coverage that you want very individually, either in private completely or with private additives on top of the public health insurance. And complex because it can get confusing very, very quickly, given that there's hundreds of different plans. To help our viewers watching the interview, can you recommend the right health insurance coverage for specific groups of people watching?
I can try. I mean, the simple answer, I think I've already given that, is that for most people, public health insurance is the best option. Switching from public to private can be a little bit easier than vice versa. But if you want to look at some groups, say average person with an average salary that is employed in Germany, public health insurance. For students that are enrolled in a university and younger than 30 years old, again, public health insurance. If you are an artist and can join the KSK, which is a special fund for artists, again, public health insurance is a fantastic option for you. If you have a family with multiple children, then public health insurance is great. Again, especially because you can cover your whole family under one plan. And then on the other hand, if you are a high earner, employed with a German company or a remote worker somewhere else in the world, especially if you're single, then private health insurance can be a great option. One thing about private health insurance that makes it a little bit more complicated is that your health plays an important factor. So if you have severe pre-existing conditions, then they're usually fully covered by public health insurance, where private health insurance may not cover them, or you can't get private health insurance. So in that case, you would also be served well by public health insurance. I'm a big fan of public health insurance, but it also has to be said that if you have public dental benefits are quite limited with public health insurance. So what a lot of people do is they get some additional dental insurance with their public plan to make sure everything is covered, and they don't have to pay a lot of money if they want to see a dentist.
I can really see that you're team public health insurance, while I'm more team private health insurance. People could let us know in the comments which side they're on. Maybe a compromise between the two. So staying in public health insurance and topping it up with private additives, either in the dental, the doctor, or the hospital segment, may be a good compromise, a good option for people, especially if they can't switch to the private health insurance system. What do you think?
I agree. I think we see that especially dental insurance is very popular with everybody that has public health insurance. So it can be a great inexpensive add-on to top up your coverage. And then like we discussed, private health insurance, maybe that is a little bit more for the kind of expert user that is really interested in kind of understanding the differences between public and private, and has no problem to maybe do some research, dive into the details. And this can definitely be a time well invested, because there are certain cases where you can make significant savings being on private health insurance, especially if you're not planning to stay in Germany for decades to come, but maybe just for a couple of years and then want to move to another country after that.
I love health insurance. I could talk about it all day, but we want to keep it interesting for the viewers out there and touch on other insurance topics as well. So let us talk about other insurances aside from health insurance. Julian, what is in your opinion an important insurance to have?
Another good question. So we at Feather, we kind of differentiate between the essentials and then and then extra coverage that you may only need depending on your circumstances. I think for the essentials, one thing that I would definitely recommend is liability insurance. Very inexpensive, just a few euros per month, which will cover you if you accidentally damage somebody else's property. And then the other one, and that's the big one and more of an expensive insurance, is disability insurance. This is an insurance that pays money if you're unable to work, and will basically substitute your salary until you retire, and it will usually pay money if you're partially disabled or fully disabled. And this is not such a fun topic to talk about, obviously, but even if you don't have any dependents, anybody relying on yourself, usually you still want to kind of keep your living standard and don't want to go onto say social welfare or whatever. So for that reason, disability insurance, I think is one of the critical insurances that maybe a lot of people don't have. And I think the reason why they don't have it is that traditionally it's very difficult to set up these policies. So you need to find an insurance company, you need to fill out a lot of paperwork. And I think this is where companies like Feather can kind of bring a unique benefit, just making it easy. You can sign up fully digital and it doesn't take a lot of time. You can adjust or cancel the coverage if you change your mind later, not locked into any kind of a long-term contract. And yeah, so be it with us or be it with another company, I would definitely recommend disability insurance. Life insurance is kind of the same bucket, but more relevant if you have dependents, say you have children or other family members that are relying on you. And as for the extra coverage, household insurance is something that will cover your belongings. Bike insurance will cover your bike against theft and is a kind of nice to have. And then maybe for expats in particular, legal insurance is also something that can be really useful. This will pay for a lawyer if somebody wants to sue you, or if you got a traffic violation ticket and think that is unjust and want to fight it, then you can use your legal insurance for that.
I completely agree. Those are also the insurances that I have personally. We have, for many of the insurances that you mentioned, there's already videos explaining this in detail, which we will link in the description. And we can also link to your website. So if people want to get into the topic, then they can have a look at there. You're absolutely right. The insurance landscape is absolutely horrible, especially for expats with a language barrier because of the German paperwork. So how do you as Feather help expats there in particular?
So what we ultimately try to do is for expats, but also for everybody else, to offer honest, simple insurance. And what does that mean? It means traditional insurance companies, usually they're a little bit afraid of maybe telling you what isn't covered in your policy. So this is something that we try to be very open and transparent about, so that as you purchase an insurance, you understand what it covers, but you also understand what isn't covered. And then since our business model is basically digital from the start, we can be a lot more efficient than traditional insurance companies. Because of that, we usually have lower running costs, and these savings that we make by having lower running costs, we pass them on to our customers. And then at the same time, with the digital business model, you can just manage everything from your smartphone. You don't have to call somebody to actually make a claim. You can just do that with a few taps in your Feather account. Or if you have a question, you can reach out to us by chat. And if you do prefer to have the one-on-one human interaction, then we also still offer video calls for our customers, where you can speak to an expert and get personal advice.
The digital stuff, I think, is a major USP for you guys. We worked on a couple of different topics together, and you were able to get insurance and the policy within a matter of hours or a day, which is usually absolutely impossible with still the traditional paper process.
Exactly, and we see huge demand for this, and we definitely try and make it so that you don't have to deal with any paperwork whatsoever, and just have everything in one place, and can just go about life as much as possible, and don't need to think about insurance too much.
Great that you are helping expats living in Germany as well, as this is also our mission. So definitely check out Feather. We link the socials and the website in the description. And now, Julian, you told me that you have great plans in the future, and you also want to share a secret with our community today.
So we spoke about making insurance simple and accessible for everybody. We see that this isn't only an issue in Germany, but in other countries as well. Basically, if you move from Germany to any other country, you have to cancel all of your insurances, and you have to buy new ones. You have to find somebody that can help you with that. And we think that is another just cumbersome, painful process. And what we're trying to do is make it so that you have flexible coverage that you can use anywhere, no matter where you live. And to get to that place, we're basically starting country by country, where we have plans to launch in all of the EU over the next couple of years. And now we're starting in Spain. So soon you'll see Feather in Spain, and we'll also make sure to make getting health insurance, but also other insurances, easier for people that want to move there or that already live in Spain.
Great. So as Europe unites more and more, I'm happy that you give people the chance to also travel through Europe. That's a recommendation or a request that we get all the time with the PEP pension that allows you to switch from one pension scheme to the other within Europe. And now you will make it possible with health insurance. I think people will absolutely love it.
I hope so too, and like you say, this is an important issue, especially when it comes to retirement. I think there's still a lot of questions that need to be answered, and we're excited to kind of do our part in that as much as possible, and unite Europe through insurance, if we can make that happen. Yeah.
Julian, thank you very much for joining the interview. It was a pleasure talking to you. Are there any last words that you would like to share with the community? The stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for watching. I think if we can make insurance a little bit less painful, and if that video helped a little bit, then that'd be great. If you have any questions, like you said, leave them in the comments. Get in touch with Feather. We're always happy to help with any question related to insurance.